The tunnel behind you just collapsed. Solid rock where a passage used to be. No rope, no radio, nobody's coming. So how does a person with nothing but fire and 2 hands get out of a mountain that just tried to close on top of them? People survived exactly this. Not once. Over and over, for hundreds of thousands of years, humans walked into the dark on purpose, and some of them got trapped. Some of those people walked back out. Nobody had to go that deep. A cave mouth is dry, defensible, easy to light. The far interior is none of those things. It's cold, black, and useless for actual living. Humans kept walking past the safe part anyway, on purpose, for reasons that had nothing to do with shelter. Deep in a cave system in southwest France, more than 300 meters from any trace of daylight, someone built 2 rings out of broken stalagmites, not stacked by accident, snapped to length and arranged in circles, with burned bones scattered around them, evidence of a fire built inside a chamber that has never once seen the sun. Researchers dated the structure to roughly 176,000 years ago. The builders weren't us. They were Neanderthals, working in total blackness. Reaching that part of the cave meant carrying your only light source through hundreds of meters of tunnel first. I keep coming back to that detail. Whatever they were doing required staying long enough to snap dozens of stalagmites and stack them into a shape. That's not a 5-minute errand. That's time spent deliberately in the one place in the entire landscape where a rockfall could seal you in. Nobody would ever hear it happen. Deep caves came with their own resident problem. And it wasn't rockfall. In Ice Age Europe, cave bears wanted the exact same dry, defensible chambers humans did, denning in the back to hibernate through winter. Their skeletons have turned up piled by the hundreds in some caves, generation after generation, dying in the same spot they slept in every year. Waking one mid-hibernation in a tunnel too narrow to run in was not survivable, and definitely not something you got to try twice. So going deep already meant checking every chamber for a sleeping problem the size of a small car. That was long before the ceiling was even a concern. The ceiling actually lets go. There's a wall where the exit used to be. Most people get one thing wrong about this moment, thanks to every horror movie ever made about it. A cave in almost never seals a space airtight. Limestone is riddled with cracks, fissures, and old drainage channels running for miles through solid rock. Most of it is too narrow for a person, but wide open for air. That air moves. Warm air inside a cave rises and pulls in cooler air from somewhere else. That means somewhere in that blocked chamber, air is still crawling through the rock, however faint. Sitting and waiting to simply run out of oxygen usually isn't the actual danger. The real danger is finding the one gap that air is moving through. You do it in the dark, using nothing but the back of your hand and your own patience. That draft is the whole story. Cavers today still use it. Hold your palm near a wall, a floor, a pile of rubble. Feel for the faintest whisper of moving air, colder or warmer than the rock around it. Follow that thread long enough, and it leads somewhere. A gap, a shaft, a crack that widens as you dig. Which brings up the torch because it's not just light, it's a countdown. A bundle of resinous wood, pine or juniper, tied tight and lit, burns for roughly 20 to 30 minutes before it needs relighting or replacing. Anyone going deep carried spares, bundled and dragged, and they left a trail. On the walls of several painted caves in France, researchers have found what they call torch wipes. These are dark smears where someone knocked the burning end against the rock. They did it to shake off ash and relight the flame. These marks cluster at junctions. Those are the exact points where a person moving through a maze of tunnels would need to remember which way they'd already been. A trail of breadcrumbs made of soot. There's a second problem the torch causes that nobody thinks about until they're stuck with it. Smoke needs somewhere to go, and in a chamber sealed by rockfall, it usually doesn't have anywhere. Every torch lit inside a blocked space thickens the air a little more, which means the smartest trapped person isn't the one keeping the brightest fire the longest. It's the one who lets it go dark on purpose, sits in the black, and only relights it to move or search for that draft. This is the detail that gets me. It means the fear of getting lost down there wasn't new. It was old enough that people had already invented a system for it, long before anyone wrote a word down. Cave paintings aren't the only reason people went underground. There's a less romantic one, Flint. For thousands of years, the best tool-making stone on the planet ran in seams underground, not on the surface. If you wanted the good stuff, you dug for it. Neolithic miners cut shafts straight down through through chalk, some more than 10 meters deep. Then they branched sideways along the seam, like spokes on a wheel. They used picks made from deer antler. Some of these complexes had hundreds of shafts sunk into a single hillside. Underground tunnels connected them, running for a mile in total. It was a buried city, built entirely to pull flint out of chalk. These flint miners actually answer the question in the title. They knew exactly what caused a cave-in: loose rock overhead with nothing holding it up. So as they worked a gallery empty, they didn't leave it hollow behind them. They backfilled it, packing broken chalk and waste rock into the tunnel they'd already mined. That propped the roof from below with the very material they'd just dug out. Same logic a modern engineer uses shoring a trench, just done first with antler and bare hands. They weren't hoping not to get buried. They were actively engineering against it, gallery by gallery, every day they worked underground. Now for the cave-in that actually worked, the one nobody walked away from. At least not the way you'd expect. Sometime around 21,000 years ago, a section of hillside came down over the mouth of a cave in southern France. It sealed the entrance under tons of rock. Whatever people had been using that cave for stopped completely that day because the door was gone. Except the inside wasn't a tomb. It was a time capsule. Nothing could get in anymore either. No wind, no water, no animals, no other humans. The paintings on the walls stopped aging the moment the rockfall sealed them off. Lions, horses, rhinos, painted in charcoal and ochre, untouched for over 20,000 years. In 1994, a caver named Jean-Marie Chauvet found a narrow gap in the rockfall. He felt a draft of cold air coming through it, the same trick every trapped person before him had ever used. He followed it in. Deeper inside, a child's bare footprints are still pressed into a muddy floor. Nearby are the paw prints of a wolf that may have crossed the same ground. Neither one had moved since, because nothing had been in that cave to move them. I don't think this cave-in is a story about survival. I think it's a story about what happens to everything you almost got. The exit that closed here didn't strand anyone alive inside. It just proved that the door had once been real. So if you're actually the one still inside when the rock settles, what do you do? Thirst kills faster than anything else down there, and stone caves solve that problem better than almost anywhere else on land. Water drips constantly through limestone, pooling on the floor or coating stone in a thin, constant sheen. Mineral heavy, unpleasant, but water, and a body survives for days on far less than it wants. Food is a slower problem. A healthy adult can go for weeks before starvation becomes the thing that actually kills them. That buys more time than most people assume they have. Digging out isn't about brute force either. Rubble from a collapse settles unevenly, some rocks wedged tight and load-bearing, others just loose, fill resting on top. Pulling the wrong one can bring more of the ceiling down. The real technique is patient and irritating. You test each rock with a small tug before committing your weight to moving it. Work from the top of a pile down, not the bottom up, because the bottom is what's holding the rest in place. The bigger threat is the dark itself. Cave darkness isn't night darkness. On the surface, your eyes eventually adjust, pull in starlight, find shapes. In a sealed cave, there is not one photon to adjust to. None. Open your eyes or close them, and the result is identical. That does something specific and unpleasant to a brain built to expect at least some visual input. Disorientation sets in fast. People lose track of up and down. They crawl in circles without knowing it. The story stops being about rock here and starts being about your own head. A real experiment proves exactly how badly that goes. In 1962, a French caver named Michel Siffre walked into a glacier cave alone. He had no watch, no calendar, no sunlight. He stayed there for 2 straight months, just to see what his mind would do without any of the day's normal cues. He kept a log of when he thought he woke, when he thought he ate, when he thought a day had passed. Then he came out and compared his log to the actual calendar. He was off by weeks. His sense of time had stretched so badly that days he counted as one had sometimes taken 2. His brain, cut off from sunrise, sunset, clocks, anything external, had started making up its own rhythm and trusting it completely. And he wasn't hurt, he wasn't starving. He had food and light whenever he wanted it. His mind broke on schedule alone, with every other comfort fully intact. Now imagine the same unraveling happening to someone actually trapped. Actually rationing a torch, actually alone behind a wall of stone that used to be a door. The physical survival, the water, the air pocket, the digging, that part is almost the easy half. The real fight happens entirely inside a skull that has no idea anymore whether 10 minutes or 10 hours just passed. Back to the person at the start of this. Torch guttering, wall of rubble where a doorway used to be. They aren't doomed the second the ceiling comes down. There's water dripping somewhere close by. There's air moving through cracks too small to see but not too small to feel. There's a torch, rationed, and a trail of soot marks behind them if they were smart enough to leave one on the way in. What they're actually fighting is time, measured by a flame that doesn't lie. It's also a mind that, left alone in the absolute dark, will start lying almost immediately. Most of them made it. Not because the mountain was gentle, it wasn't. They made it because somebody, long before them, had already solved pieces of this exact problem. None of that knowledge came from you. It came from every person before you who got it wrong first. You will never be sealed behind a wall of collapsed limestone with one torch and no way back. But somewhere under your feet, right now, there are tunnels nobody has mapped. Cracks are still shifting there, by fractions of an inch a year. Air is still finding its way through stone that hasn't finished settling, long before there were people down there to feel it move. Thanks for watching. All the sources and studies used in this video can be found in the description below.